I am profoundly thrilled to have on my dear friend, colleague, coach, Aaron London, who has made this, candidly, it's so exciting for me because you've taken all of these skills that you have been perfecting over the last like 2 decades and now are able to deploy those in a way that is incredibly impactful for you and incredibly impactful for clients that you work with. So that's like, again, if people are like, why do you get out of bed in the morning? It's like Aaron London is why I get out of bed in the morning. I don't tell my wife that, but and also you're the funnest person because most people don't appreciate how brilliantly funny I am, but you definitely do. Anyway,
Yeah.
thank you. So tell us a little bit about what were you doing before you started coaching? Sort of like what were some of the interests and the skill sets that you had developed throughout your life? Again, a lot of times people think when they're working with a coach, like someone like yourself, and I'm like, you don't understand this. You're getting 20 years of experience. You're getting like thousands and thousands of hours of development when you sit down with this person in that one little hour that you spend. So tell me a little bit about your background and what got you excited.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's one of the most important questions to be asking when you're thinking about like, okay, what qualifies me as a coach? And it's this question, and it's, you know, my current job has been drug and alcohol detox nurse, psychiatric nurse, working with people from all walks of life, whether that's, people in the lowest realms of society, prostitutes, gang members, people live in jail. So you're just your normal guy, just they're caught in addiction. And so I have crafted, I have what I have learned in this experience and in like my whole life is the ability to connect with any person in any place in life and to empathetically, so to speak, reach across the table and to create a space for them to understand themselves and to figure out what they need to grow and get to the next level. So what was so like fascinating about coaching was that it's like coaching is all about leveraging your life experience in support of people. And so when a friend, a mentor of mine, reached out to me and told me about Mr. Jacob Rupp and what he does, and he said, I think you should look into this. I always had this like, I was like, coaching it sounds nice in theory, but like, I would have to go and get all these certifications and all these different things. And I was surprised to learn that in coaching, it's like the tactical question is here, can you help me? And when I became open to that, and I did the whole 3-day boot camp, and ultimately decided to make the brave decision to do the program and to grow my own coaching practice. And it was in that context where I took stock of the last 15, 20 years of my life as a martial arts instructor, as a ROTC cadet at one time, going and spending 2 years in Israel doing an intensive growth-oriented program, which like totally developed every aspect of who I am. And, as a nurse and as a person who studied English and wrote all these different variety of life experiences where I was like, oh my God, I can like, not only can I help people, I think I can help people powerfully. And what happened was when I began to really pay attention to that energetically, I felt an incredible surge of energy and I felt like unstoppable.
Okay, I'm going to do this. I know it might be a little bit painful, but hopefully, again, and there's a beautiful ending of the story, which is that Aaron's created. Again, I'm not going to give specific numbers, unless all of your friends and relatives are going to start hitting you up for cash. But you've built an incredibly successful coaching business, and you've helped quite a few people in a very short period of time, which is really exciting. But if you could tap into that pain that I feel like so many people experience, and I'm sure you actually help clients with this now on the other side of it. What is it like to be, again, you have a desire to change people, you've done a lot of self-development, and then you find a career, but then sort of within your career, you're not really at liberty to perhaps have the time that you want to sort of build the business that you want to make the amount of money that you want, or to even pick the kinds of people you work with. What is that? Again, you said it opened up this energetic like channel for you. What's it like to be in that environment where you feel kind of stuck and then have to make that courageous decision to go on your own?
It's so funny because in my job, I have it's I don't always have the opportunity to totally express where I think I could be most of where I could be most of service. I'm doing documentation and I'm
Stop
having
it. Stop it. That's so important. I want to go. I just want to reiterate that for so many people that are watching. The concept that we come up with is I go into work because I want to help others. But then the perhaps bureaucracy or the focus of what I do hampers the ability to actually fully help this person the way that I can bring all of my skill sets to the table. So what I'm hearing you say is like, time is spent on things that don't actually move the needle for you in terms of like your life mission, but also like you could be helping so much more if you could just kind of bring more of yourself to the table. That's what you're saying?
exactly. So like in my job, there's about 45 minutes a couple times a week where I run a nursing group. And that's where I can sort of full throttle, bring everything to the table. And the cool thing is it's all coaching. It's all coaching, it's all mindset work, it's all tactical work, and it's very powerful. And then it's like taking that model and applying it to sort of one-to-one, where I just do that. I just do that with clients, and I'm just seeing, like, I got off a call this morning with one of my clients, and just energetically at the end, be like, he did mindset work. He's making progress in his life. He's conquering himself in ways that he probably didn't think was possible 9 months ago. He's like moving his trying to move his business ideas forward and his interests forward. And it's just freaking awesome to see someone be successful in multiple areas in their life. I'm getting fired up just talking about it.
I love that. I love that you do, and so am I. And one of the other things that I wanted to, again, now you're very specific in your coaching business in terms of the people that you work with, because again, as you mentioned, you have the ability to connect with anybody. And I think that was one of the first conversations we had. But you said, no, I'm really able to, talk to the person that's suffering from drug addiction or spending time in jail or in a gang. And again, like it's great, and people need a lot of help, but you were also like thinking to yourself, like, if I can connect with people like that, who else can I connect with? And what's the skill set that I could train people that, again, like run a company and have multiple different types of people that, kind of come to you. So again, if you can create a relationship with someone that's at the lowest point in their life, what becomes possible if you start connecting to people that are motivated, that are like some of your salespeople. So tell me a little bit about how you help in terms of some of the communication skills that you've trained on, that you've worked with clients of yours who might run a company, and how you like learn those kind of the hard way, and then how people can get advantage of your experience.
Yeah, 100%. So I think I love this line from Rich Liffin, who's one of these master coach personalities, but
we get no royalties from that guy. I have sold so many of that guy's books. I'm hoping the checks are coming very soon.
Yeah. So he talks about this idea of coaching around insight. And what I love to do is help people become aware of the sort of inner scaffolding of their inner world. I love, like, when someone is just talking, I had this like yesterday with a client, they're just talking about something that almost like might even be random. And I like extract thematically what's going on. And I help them see why that's a strength, or what they can do with that. And like, what would happen if you could actually live aligned with that strength? And then you start, and then the amazing thing with people is that a lot of these patterns repeat themselves, but they're not unaware of it because it's their life. So the coaching becomes extraordinarily valuable when you have someone there reflecting back to you all the themes and strengths and all the different colors of your life. And it's like, that's really who I am. And it's like, yes, that's really who you are. And like, what becomes possible if you were to live aligned with that? What would that look like in your relationships? What would that look like in your business? And then there's like the mindset piece, and there's the tactical piece. And it's like, and then challenging them to figure out the action pieces that they need to do. And that way there's that incredible responsibility and surge of energy on their end, where it's like, yeah, I got to make those calls. Like my guy today, where he wants to get more involved in politics. And it's like, and he wants to meet more of these types of people. So it's like, identify the organizations that are going to be fertile ground for that, and reach out to those people. And he's fired up to do it. And that's him taking ownership of his life.
It's crazy when you actually think about it. And I think this is such an important thing to realize, both on the on the end of like our end of, as potential clients to a coach, and then as the coach in terms of the value that we're delivering, it's like people get stuck for years. They keep someone on too long for years. This guy wanted to go into politics. Oh, maybe I'll go in 5 or 10 years once I've done X, Y, and Z. And like, you just shaved like all of this time off of it. And again, you also took, again, why don't a lot of people take action? Because it's like, oh my God, how am I ever gonna do that? And you like broke it down. Again, people are like, well, what do I need to hire someone for? It's like, well, you know, did you do this yet? And do you have a plan to do this yet? And when is that plan going to start happening? And so
that's like one of the key pieces that's inspiring for me is collapsing the process. It's like, you think this is going to take 5 years, a year? Like, why can't it happen right now? Like, I'm having these conversations often with different types of people, and it's like, and it's amazing because this is my own development within coaching, which is the realization that we can cut through so much static and fat and get right to the core of the issue, clarify what you want, and like, okay, what do you have to do? What do you start have to say no to? What are the resources that you need? I mean, this is like the basic steps of the coaching model, but it's so powerful to see people like realize that and stop at the plate. And I get like frustrated in a healthy way when I see that a person's not being effective and they're making decisions that they think is actually going to yield them the results, but it's not. It's going to take longer. Or it's like, or it's like a person that like, you know, you challenge them to take on to enter the world of coaching because you see that it's important to them and their life is in a certain level, it's stuck, and they haven't yet taken the action yet. And I'm like, what I'm realizing is that what's going to provoke you to make the energetic shift to actually yield the results that you want. And it's and if nothing's going, and if there's nothing there, your life is just going to continue because you don't have the mindset piece in place. Like John Mattson talks about this, about, you know, you need the mindset. You have to have the mindset piece in place of where you want to go in order to change right now. Because because right now the mindset that you have it's not yielding you what you want. So you have to actually tap into champion mindset or warrior mindset.
And most people don't even ask that question of, again, I can't tell you how many people like we see, it's like, I don't know what I want. How much money do you want? Oh, I want to pay my bills. You want that, or you need to pay your bills, but really you want a lot more. Oh yeah, wow, that's crazy. 100%. Aaron, I'm so fired up and I love this so much. One of the things that comes out for me when I speak to you is your courage, and sort of reflecting back on where you were when we spoke, which is that you do have all of this experience, but I know you were working like crazy hours. I know that financially things were hopefully it's okay, I can share, we're pretty tight. Again, you're a young man with, you know, a beautiful family, and, you know, and, you know, there was a lot of this, you know, constriction around finances and time and how I'm going to manage this. You just had a baby and all of that stuff. And you really had to look inside of yourself and ask yourself, am I willing to have what I want? Am I willing to cultivate that courage to go forward? And so on the other side of it, there's a lot of people looking at you. And again, I know this is going to happen when they watch the video. They're going to say, oh, well, it's easy for Aaron. He's got a lot of, you know, obviously he knows a lot. He was working with other people before, you know, he probably has some, you know, special insights. Someone probably, you know, wrote the check to invest in his coaching. What was it like for you to go and say, this is my opportunity to sort of step outside of like this very safe, convenient box that's not getting me what I want, and go into building something that's fundamentally very powerful?
Exactly. There was a point where I realized, at least not from a financial standpoint, that if I stayed in my current position as a full-time staff nurse, we would never get ahead financially. And when I began to see that coaching was so powerfully aligned with like everything about who I am, and that I didn't even call the coaching back in the day. It was just like, oh yeah, I'm helping a friend, or you know, having this conversation with somebody.
Which I'm sorry, you just unleashed that very quickly. That's also so important. I remember us speaking about that, is a lot of people might be like, oh, I don't know how to coach, or I need a whole, you know, 25-year certification process in PhD, MBA, NYPD. And it's like, Yeah. And it's like, and it's like, well, what did you just get away from doing? You're like, oh, I was sitting and counseling my friend. I'm like, yeah, idiot. That's coaching. That's what you just did that. But go ahead, keep going.
You might not realize that you might never called it coaching. You might have just called it helping a buddy. But that's the whole beauty of this model, is that you are bringing you to the table with all your experience and all your insight and all your strengths to the table here. And the question is, can I help you, or can you help me? And it's like, yes. And that's all that matters. So when I began to see that I could actually build a practice around all these skills that I've been developing for years and serve people powerfully and make a good healthy living doing that, I was like, yes, but that's so scary because I'm supposed to be a nurse, or I'm supposed to, go to, nurse practitioner school. And this was never a part of the, so there was a lot of fear and there was a lot of uncertainty, and there was a certain level of like, okay, you're building your own business. So that can be risky and scary. But
did I hug you on that part? You were okay with that? I helped you. You felt supported.
oh yeah, you were great. Yeah. So, yeah, 100%. So
Everyone's like, oh my God, I have to run my own business. No, I can't do that. Yeah, you're doing great. So no, but that's what you have to decide is, can I actually do it? If I have the path, am I willing to take it?
Yes. And
how did you say yes? Because people had to have a hard time saying yes.
To be honest, it was sort of this confluence, because I was teetering on jumping into doing like 8 to 8, for example, for a couple of days. I was like, the money, the this, the that. And I think it was like a sort of a confluence of, I read at the beginning of The Prosperous Coach, which is Steve Chandler and Rich Liffin, where he talks about how
heck's not coming. They're not going to send it.
Where he talks about how he wanted to do Steve Chandler's coaching school, but he only had like precisely the amount of money in his bank account that the program costs. And he was like, okay, if you let me just join, I promise you I will, like, I'll pay you back or something like that. And Steve's like, get the money first. And
I literally had someone say that to me yesterday. He's like, what? He's like, he was really struggling building his business on his own. We had a conversation. I'm like, I can help you. He was like, yes. He's like, I just need that money back guarantee. And I'm like, let me ask you a question. Have you been able to make any money based on where you are right now? He's like, no. And I'm like, why? He's like, well, I just like people to have whatever they need. I'm like, it's because you're not sold on the stupid process. You don't believe in yourself. You don't believe that coaching actually works. Once you say, I'm going all in, then you can start to attract clients and actually help the clients go all in. So what you are always your own best client. Exactly that point. I love that. Yeah, keep going. So you look yourself in the mirror. Go ahead.
Basically, and so Rich Liffin took out all the money in his bank account and he invested in going to school, and here he is, today, the Rich Liffin that we all know and love, being the man. So that piece was so critical, and just this, I think intrinsically deep down, I wanted to do something bold. I wanted to tap into my own courage, and I saw that this could possibly be life-changing. And it was like, I remember I said to my wife, I want to do this. And she said, okay. And we figured out a way to pay for it. And we had to be, sort of creative and willing to go put ourselves out there. And, and I'll tell you, this is one of the key insights that I had, because now that I've been officially working with people, I'm watching before my eyes people change their lives. And I said to myself, what would have happened if I actually didn't do this? If I didn't have the courage, if I didn't walk myself through the fear, then what would happen to all these people that are literally transforming themselves on a mindset level, on a practical level, whether it's their relationships, their sense of self, their self-esteem, where they want their business to go, all because like I wasn't brave enough. This is such a key point. Like, because we talk about in like the trainings, like in our trainings, the moral obligation. Like you have a certain skill set, you have a certain way of being of service to people. And so when you're not living aligned with that, then they miss out.
Yeah. I get teared up. And again, that's the whole thing. Like you're sitting at I loved parts of what I used to do before I did my coaching business, but like, I also felt like I could be doing so much more.
Yeah.
And it was really scary to leave that background. And I get tears in my eyes now because like, what if I hadn't done that? Like, what would have happened? What would have happened to you and all of the hundreds of people you work with and you've worked with, and the many, many, many thousands of dollars that you'll be making and made and have for your family now? Where, like, what would have happened with that? And it's like, and what about the clients that you're going to be able, like, that's the point. It's like when a person's able to look into themselves and actually make the commitment to step into the thing that they actually want, it's like, and then they're on the other side of that, they're looking at it like, oh my God, what if I hadn't done this? And that's the most terrifying thing in the world.
Yes, I see that with like, there was a guy that I was speaking to, and he didn't want to make the move, and the feeling that I got, was like, but what about your life? What about how you show up in everything? Like, because again, there's nothing that's going to provoke that change unless you're willing to invest powerfully in yourself, put in the work. So the status quo is just going to continue. And it's like that unrealized potential, which becomes so painful. On the flip end, when I'm seeing the people that I'm working with and they're being like massively successful in like their mindset and in how they're showing up and their well-being, just like my call today with a guy, and the way we ended, how he was just like, he's a warrior, this guy. And he's doing things like it's just awesome, you know?
Okay, so I'm excited to give you my credit card, start working with you. Tell everyone who's watching I take it you work primarily with men,
Yes.
usually people that are in some level of professional capacity. So we're talking about people that are a little bit more advanced in age. Again, so we're looking at usually people that have, families and are doing some kind of professional work.
Yeah.
That are probably feeling, like you mentioned, even if they're not like feeling like super stuck, it's like just they know deep down inside they're not living or performing the way that they want. Those are the kinds of people that you are magical to work with, correct?
Correct. And and the key thing is like, and I was explaining this to a client yesterday, is the client sees themselves as they are right now. I see you as you are right now and who you can become.
Oh.
And that's the magic. So it's not about
my credit card. Where's my credit card?
so it's not about you like, like my life is terrible and I don't have any, we could do that. We could work with you. But it's like you think that the ceiling of your potential is here. And I'm always asking the questions that are provoking the sense of maybe the ceiling is entirely like in a place that you didn't even possibly fathom beforehand. And that's the magic. And that's
amazing. Aaron, how do people find you? And thank you. I mean, first of all, candidly, again, you think about like the average person, I saw a study, 70% of people think work sucks. My job is I get to work with people like you. And like, I in my life feel so tremendously appreciative, of you being courageous enough to trust in me and in this process, for being who you are, and for all of the like tremendous growth that you've unleashed on the world and the people that you're working with. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you. My pleasure. And tell people how they can find you, engage you, learn more about you, and up-level their stuff.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I can for sure be reached at my number, 201-566-1129. My email is aaronlondon100@gmail.com.
Aaron London 100?
100@gmail.com. So just
Awesome.
my name. And then the coaching company is called the London Group. So you can find us on LinkedIn as well. Just do a search.
Or just ask me. I will happily pass along, as I've done many times. The best. Aaron, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jacob. It was awesome.